"Your daughter is alive and she isn't sick." The sharp voice tore through the oppressive silence of the mansion, making the crystal glass fall from Elias's hands and shatter into 1,000 pieces on the marble floor. The magnate's heart raced, a cutting chill coursing through his veins as he turned, terrified, to Kiko the parrot, who stared at him with keen eyes. Elias's mind spun in a whirlwind. His little Luna, whom he believed to be undergoing treatment thousands of miles away, was alive. And what Kiko knew next could destroy his entire life and reveal the cruelest face of the woman he loved. Elias felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. His gaze, previously fixed on the shining shards, slowly rose to Kiko, who watched him from its perch with an almost human intensity. The parrot tilted its head as if it understood the overwhelming weight of the words it had just uttered. "Luna. Alive?" Elias whispered, his voice choked, barely recognizing his own sound. A knot tightened in his throat, and the air seemed thin. He knelt on the cold floor, ignoring the splinters, his hands trembling uncontrollably as he tried to approach the bird. "Kiko, what did you say? Repeat it, please," he pleaded. The wildest and most painful hope blossoming in his chest, mixed with an icy fear. If Kiko was right, then everything he believed about his daughter, about his life, was a cruel lie. The parrot, as if understanding the man's agony, flapped its wings once and repeated, with chilling clarity, "Luna not sick, imprisoned, Sophia bad." Every word was a blow to Elias's heart. Imprisoned. Sophia. The image of his wife, always so elegant and controlled, danced in his mind, now distorted by a sinister shadow. How could he have been so blind? Luna's distance, the always supervised calls, Sophia's excuses about the rigor of the treatment and the need for isolation for the girl's rare illness, everything he had accepted with a broken heart, now fit into a pattern of deceit. A searing pain, deeper than any grief, pierced him. It wasn't the pain of loss, but the pain of betrayal and ignorance. He slowly stood up, his knees weak, and walked to the window, observing the immaculate garden that once brought him peace, but now seemed like a setting for a farce. Luna, his little Luna, with her bright eyes and contagious laughter, wasn't in a distant hospital, but perhaps... where? The idea of his daughter, so fragile and innocent, held against her will, was an indescribable torment. Guilt washed over him, heavy and suffocating. As a father, he should have felt it, should have questioned more, should have protected her. His gaze returned to Kiko, the little guardian of such a devastating secret. The parrot, with its peculiar intelligence, had been the only witness, the only link to the truth. Elias felt an unexpected and profound gratitude for the bird, which, with its unexpected voice, had broken the silence of the lie. But now, what to do? Confronting Sophia without proof would be dangerous. She was cunning, and the magnitude of her supposed cruelty was unimaginable. He needed evidence, something concrete that could unmask the farce and, above all, find his daughter. With a new, cold and calculating determination, Elias decided that the investigation would begin immediately, and it would be silent. He would review every document, every email, every call about Luna's treatment. If Sophia had orchestrated all of this, she would have left traces, and he would find them. The hope of reuniting with Luna, however faint, ignited a flame in his heart, propelling him to act. His daughter's life depended on it, and he would not fail again. Elias's cold and calculating determination solidified in his chest. His daughter's life depended on it, and he would not fail again. With shoulders heavy with responsibility, he headed to his private office, a sanctuary of dark wood and old books that Sophia rarely frequented. Each step echoed the emptiness of his soul, but also the urgency of his mission. He sat at the large mahogany desk, his heart pounding against his ribs, and turned on the computer. The screen illuminated his pale face, revealing the anguish in his eyes, but also a spark of hope that refused to die. He began to sift through digital files, old emails, financial spreadsheets, everything related to Luna's supposed treatment. Every document he had read with a broken heart was now reread through a lens of distrust. The information about the clinic, the doctors' names, the progress reports, everything seemed meticulously organized, almost too perfect. This perfection, which once reassured him, now screamed farce. A wave of nausea hit him. How could he have been so naive? How could he have entrusted his daughter to such a cruel lie? His fingers trembled slightly as he typed, searching for inconsistencies, any clue that would unravel the web of deceit. He remembered the few brief video calls with Luna, always supervised by a nurse whom Sophia said was very strict. The image of Luna, small and a little thinner, but always with a forced smile, came to his mind. The smile, which he attributed to illness and fatigue, now seemed like a silent plea for help. He pressed his lips together, feeling the pain of guilt that gnawed at him. As Elias delved into the investigation, Kiko, from his perch in the living room, watched the closed office door. The parrot seemed to sense the tension in the air, the change in Elias's behavior. From time to time, it let out a low chirp, like a silent reminder of the truth it had revealed. Elias, even immersed in data, felt the bird's presence, an unexpected strength amidst the chaos. Kiko was his compass, his only ally in this sea of betrayal. Hours passed, and the pile of virtual documents grew. Elias's head throbbed, but he couldn't stop. It was then that a small discrepancy caught his attention. An email address used for the clinic's correspondence didn't match the official domain. It was a generic account, almost imperceptible, but there it was, a loose thread in Sophia's plot. His eyes widened. It was a tiny but significant detail, a mistake that Sophia, in her arrogance, perhaps hadn't foreseen that Elias, the tech magnate, would be able to find. The discovery ignited a spark of hope and a flame of anger in Elias. It wasn't much, but it was a start. He felt a shiver down his spine. Sophia was more calculating than he imagined, but she wasn't infallible. With this small clue, he could begin to unravel the truth, to dismantle the farce that imprisoned his daughter. The path would be arduous and dangerous, but the image of Luna, free and truly smiling, was the force that propelled him. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes for an instant, and then, with renewed determination, continued his search. Elias opened his eyes, the computer screen reflecting the intensity of his mission. The generic email, a loose thread in Sophia's web, was his starting point. With precision, he traced the account's origin, delving into servers and records. His mind, accustomed to unraveling complex algorithms, now deciphered human cruelty. Each click was a step towards the truth. Each line of code a fragment of hope for little Luna. Adrenaline surged, keeping him alert and focused, despite the exhaustion that weighed on his shoulders. Hours turned into dawn. The sun peeked through the office window when Elias found something substantial. The email was linked to an obscure hosting server, registered in the name of a front company he had never heard of. There was a physical address associated with this company, located in a remote and underdeveloped area, hundreds of miles from the mansion. It wasn't a clinic, nor a hospital. It was an isolated location, perfect for hiding someone. Elias's breath caught in his throat. The image of Luna, imprisoned in that unknown place, squeezed his heart painfully. A shiver ran down his spine, mixed with cold and controlled anger. Sophia, the woman he had loved, who had shared his life, was capable of such monstrosity. How could he have been so blind? Guilt washed over him, but this time it came with iron determination. He would not fail again. As Elias absorbed the discovery, the office door opened. Sophia. She entered with her elegant gait, a gentle smile, her eyes sweeping the room with disguised curiosity. "Darling, did you spend the night here again? I heard noises. Is everything all right?" she asked, her voice melodious, but with a tone Elias perceived as calculating. He quickly closed the screen, his mind racing for a credible excuse. "Yes, Sophia. An urgent problem with the company's servers. I couldn't sleep," Elias replied, forcing a yawn and trying to appear natural. His heart beat erratically, fearing she would notice the tremor in his hands or the unusual glint in his eyes. Sophia approached, placing a delicate hand on his shoulder. "You work too hard, my love. You should rest. Luna needs you strong when she returns home, recovered." Sophia's words, once a balm for his soul, now sounded like poison. The mention of Luna, of her recovery, was a knife twisting in Elias's wound. He subtly pulled away from her touch, feeling deep disgust. "Yes, you're right. I'll try to rest," he said, standing up and avoiding her gaze. The farce continued, and he needed to maintain his own mask. Sophia smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Great. I've prepared your favorite coffee. Come when you're ready." She left the office, leaving a trail of her expensive perfume. Elias waited a few seconds, the air feeling lighter with her absence. He looked at the computer, at the address on the screen. It was his chance. He needed to go there, to see with his own eyes. The truth was one step away, and Luna was waiting. Kiko, from his perch in the living room, let out a low chirp, like a call to action. The journey to rescue his daughter was just beginning. Elias felt Kiko's chirp as an echo in his soul, a vivid reminder of the urgency. There was no time to lose, but haste could be his enemy. Sophia was cunning, and any false move could alert her, putting Luna in even greater danger. He needed a plan, an excuse that would justify his absence for a few days. His mind, trained for complex business strategies, now worked with icy precision to protect his daughter. He decided that a corporate emergency would be the most plausible story. An unexpected problem at one of the most distant branches, requiring his immediate presence. With a heavy heart but a focused mind, Elias called his trusted assistant, Marcos, instructing him to prepare the story and travel documents. Marcos, loyal and discreet, did not question the unusual urgency, but simply acted with his usual efficiency. Elias felt a momentary relief at having someone he could trust, even partially, in this labyrinth of lies. As he left the office, Elias found Kiko still on his perch, watching him with those intelligent eyes. "I'm going to find her, Kiko," Elias whispered, his voice laden with a solemn promise. The parrot tilted its head, and Elias felt a strange connection, a silent pact between them. It was as if Kiko understood the depth of his pain and the magnitude of his mission. Sophia's farewell was a torment. She hugged him, a gesture that once brought him comfort but now was repulsive. "Be careful, my love." "Come back soon," she said, with a sweetness that sounded hollow. Elias forced a smile, feeling every muscle in his face protest. "I'll be back as soon as possible," he replied, the truth hidden behind every word. He picked up his briefcase, which contained only the essentials, and left without looking back. The car journey was long and torturous. The urban landscape gave way to country roads, then to dirt tracks. With each mile traveled, hope and fear alternated in his chest. Images of Luna, from her birth to their last video calls, flashed through his mind. He remembered her easy laughter, the way she squeezed his finger, the innocence in her eyes. The idea that this purity was being defiled by Sophia was unbearable. Guilt, a heavy burden, accompanied him. But the determination to correct his mistake was even greater. Finally, after hours of exhausting driving, the GPS indicated the destination. Elias slowed down, his heart pounding. Before him stood an isolated property surrounded by a high, rusty fence. It wasn't a clinic nor a common house. It was an old and uninhabited-looking building with dusty windows and some loose boards. An air of abandonment and mystery hung over the place. The vegetation grew wildly, and the silence was almost palpable, broken only by the wind whispering through the trees. Elias parked the car at a safe distance, turning off the engine. The silence that followed was deafening. His eyes swept over every detail of the place, searching for any sign of life, any indication that Luna might be there. Adrenaline pulsed through his veins, mixed with an icy terror. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the tremor in his hands. The truth was there, hidden in that somber place, and he was about to uncover it. The image of Luna, imprisoned, was the fuel for his courage. He knew he needed to be cautious, but there was no turning back. The journey to rescue his daughter was about to reach its most critical point, its final destination. Elias got out of the car, the silence of that somber place enveloping him like a heavy cloak. The wind, which had whispered before, now seemed to moan among the twisted trees, adding a layer of melancholy to the landscape. His eyes, previously fixed on the abandoned structure, swept the surroundings, looking for any sign of movement, any shadow that might indicate someone's presence. The rusty fence, with barbed wire on top, looked like a scar on the land, and the gate, ajar and creaking, invited a disturbing mystery. With slow and cautious steps, Elias approached. Every dry leaf under his feet sounded like thunder in his ears. The smell of damp earth and mold filled his nostrils, and the sense of abandonment was palpable. He wondered how Sophia, his wife, the woman he had known and loved, could orchestrate something so cruel. The image of Luna, his sweet little daughter, living in a place like that was a punch to the gut, a torment that propelled and tore at him simultaneously. He walked around the building, observing the dusty windows, some broken, others boarded up. There was no light, no sound, only the echo of his own hurried breath. The hope of finding Luna there, so close, mingled with an icy terror. What if she wasn't there? What if he had been mistaken? But the address, the email, Sophia's farce, everything pointed to that place. Upon reaching the back, Elias noticed a small wooden door, almost hidden by dense vegetation. Unlike the others, this one seemed more intact, though old. There was a rusty padlock, but it seemed to have been forced recently. His heart raced. A thread of hope, faint as the dawn light, ignited in his chest. He touched the cold wood, feeling its rough and worn texture. There was a recent scratch near the doorknob, as if someone had tried to open it in a hurry. With redoubled caution, Elias pushed the door. It creaked in protest, revealing a dark and damp corridor. The stagnant air carried an indistinct smell, but it wasn't one of total abandonment. There was something more, something he couldn't identify, but which made him shiver. He took his cell phone from his pocket, turning on the flashlight. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing peeling walls and cobwebs. With each step, Elias felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He wasn't an action hero, but a desperate father, driven by unconditional love for his daughter. The guilt for his initial blindness burned in his chest, but now the only thing that mattered was rescuing Luna. He needed to be strong for her. He advanced down the corridor, calling softly, "Luna, daughter, are you here?" His voice sounded weak and distant in the oppressive silence. There was no answer. With each door he passed, the anxiety increased. Finally, he reached a larger room. In the center, there was a small table and some children's chairs. On the floor, a teddy bear, a little dirty but unmistakable. It was Luna's favorite teddy bear, the one he had given her for her last birthday. Elias felt his legs give way. Warm tears streamed down his face, mixing with the dust. Luna was here. She had been here. The proof was before his eyes, a silent testimony to Sophia's cruelty. The pain of betrayal was immense, but the certainty that he was on the right track, that Luna existed and was alive, filled him with renewed strength. He knelt, picking up the teddy bear with trembling hands, pressing it against his chest. "I'm going to find you, my little one," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. The journey was far from over, but he had found his daughter's trace. Elias knelt on the cold floor, pressing the teddy bear against his chest. That small toy, a symbol of Luna's innocence, was irrefutable proof that his daughter had been there. The pain of Sophia's betrayal was immense, but the certainty that Luna was alive ignited a flame of hope and renewed strength in his heart. He stood up, his eyes sweeping the room with new intensity, searching for any other trace that could guide him. The room was small and simple, with very few pieces of furniture. There was only a thin mattress leaning against the wall, covered by a crumpled sheet. Elias approached, his heart pounding. He ran his hand over the fabric, imagining his little Luna lying there, alone. Guilt washed over him again, overwhelming, but he transformed it into fuel for his search. He needed to find her, no matter the cost. Carefully, he inspected the mattress and the wall behind it. He noticed a small, almost imperceptible crack in the masonry. With trembling fingers, Elias felt the area, and to his surprise, a small secret compartment opened with a soft click. Inside, there were no jewels or money, but something much more valuable. A crayon drawing, a little crumpled, and a small note. The drawing was of Kiko the parrot, with Luna beside him, smiling. Below, in childlike and slightly shaky handwriting, it read, "Daddy, Kiko helped me. They took me to Grandma Clara's house. Don't worry, I'm fine. I love you." Elias felt the air leave his lungs. Grandma Clara's house, his mother, the woman he visited regularly, whom Sophia always encouraged him to see. But his mother lived in a nursing home, and there was no Grandma Clara in the family. Elias's mind spun. Grandma Clara was the affectionate name Luna gave to her paternal grandmother, Elias's mother, who was indeed in a nursing home, but whom Sophia always insisted he visit alone, claiming small children shouldn't be in such melancholic environments. A new veil of lies tore apart. Sophia had not only imprisoned Luna, but had hidden her right under his nose. In his own mother's nursing home, disguising her as a new employee or young volunteer. Sophia's coldness and audacity were shocking. The nursing home was a place Elias frequented, but always on quick visits supervised by Sophia herself, who seemed to have inexplicable control over the facility's administration. Luna's note, a ray of light in the darkness, was the turning point he needed. Guilt hit him with renewed force. He had visited his mother, and Luna was there, so close, and he hadn't seen her. He hadn't felt her. Kiko, once again, had been the link, the voice of truth. Elias pressed the note and the drawing against his chest, feeling an overwhelming mix of relief, anger, and hope. Luna was safe, and he knew where to find her. The nursing home, which should have been a place of peace, was now the next stage for the revelation of Sophia's farce. He needed to act with extreme caution. Sophia had tentacles everywhere, but now, with the truth in his hands, he was stronger than ever. Justice would be served. Justice would be served. Elias felt the force of those words echo in every fiber of his being, but also the immense responsibility that rested on his shoulders. The discovery that Luna was under the same roof as his mother, Grandma Clara, in the nursing home, was a masterstroke by Sophia, a veiled cruelty that made him feel nauseous. How could he have been so blind? Guilt gnawed at him, but the image of Luna, smiling in the drawing, was his beacon. He needed to be his daughter's rock, her shield. With the note and drawing carefully stored, Elias left the abandoned building. The sun was already high, and the landscape, once somber, now seemed like a stage for the battle that was approaching. He returned to the car, the engine starting with a roar that seemed to break the oppressive silence of the place. The drive back would be faster, propelled by an urgency that left him breathless. On the way, his mind worked tirelessly, planning every step. He couldn't simply show up at the nursing home and demand Luna. Sophia, with her web of influence, would certainly have eyes and ears there. Elias needed a strategy. First, he would call the nursing home, as if it were a routine visit to his mother, Grandma Clara. This would establish a facade of normalcy. He needed to observe, understand the dynamics, and above all, find Luna without alarming anyone. The idea of feigning calm while his heart cried out for his daughter was a torment, but it was the only safe path. Upon arriving home, the mansion seemed even colder and emptier. Kiko, from his perch, let out a low chirp upon seeing him. Like a silent greeting, Elias stopped, looking at the parrot. "You were my angel, Kiko," Elias whispered, his voice choked. The bird tilted its head, and Elias felt a deep connection, a gratitude that words couldn't express. Sophia wasn't home, which was a relief. Elias took the opportunity to call the nursing home. "Good morning. I'd like to schedule a visit to my mother, Clara Mendez," he said, forcing his voice to sound casual. The receptionist, with a kind voice, confirmed availability for the afternoon. Elias felt a mix of anxiety and hope. In a few hours, he would be close to Luna. He spent the remaining time organizing his thoughts, revisiting every detail of Luna's note. "They took me to Grandma Clara's house. Don't worry, I'm fine, I love you." The childlike, slightly shaky handwriting was a constant reminder of his little one's fragility. He imagined Luna, so brave, trying to comfort him even in her own prison. This ignited a new flame of determination in his chest. When Sophia returned, hours later, Elias had already recomposed his mask. "Darling, where have you been?" "I was worried," she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Solving problems at the branch, as I told you. And I took the opportunity to call the nursing home. I'm visiting my mother this afternoon," Elias replied, watching her intently. Sophia nodded, an almost imperceptible glint in her eyes. "Oh, yes, she'll love it. Send her my regards." Sophia's coldness was palpable, and Elias felt a shiver. He knew he was entering the lioness's den, but the promise of reuniting with Luna was stronger than any fear. Elias felt his heart pound in his chest as he drove towards the nursing home. The facade of normalcy he wore barely concealed the anxiety that consumed him. He parked, taking a deep breath to calm the storm of emotions. Haven of Peace was a tranquil place with well-tended gardens, but today every corner seemed to hide a secret. Upon entering, the faint scent of disinfectant and fresh flowers greeted him. The receptionist smiled. "Mr. Mendez, your mother is waiting for you in the garden." Elias nodded, forcing a smile, his eyes sweeping the hall in search of Luna. He walked through the corridors, footsteps echoing, hope and fear alternating. In the garden, Grandma Clara was sitting on a bench, her silver hair gleaming in the sun, a gentle smile upon seeing him. "My son, how good of you to come," she said, extending her hand. Elias hugged her, the warmth a balm for his tormented soul. "Hi, Mom. How are you?" he asked, his voice firm. They exchanged pleasantries, but Elias was on maximum alert. He noticed a nurse always nearby with an apprehensive, almost vigilant gaze. It was then that he saw her. In the farthest corner of the garden, near a small playground, a small figure played alone. Brown hair, a little blue dress. It was Luna. His heart gave a painful leap, an overwhelming mix of relief and unspeakable pain, so close, yet unreachable. The image of her, so small and vulnerable, squeezed his chest. The nurse approached Luna, whispering something. The girl looked at Elias for a brief instant, her eyes large and curious, a flash of recognition before averting her gaze, as if she had been instructed not to make contact. A wave of cold anger washed over Elias. Sophia used his daughter's innocence for the farce. He needed to be smart. "Mum, I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back," he said, standing up naturally. Grandma Clara nodded. He walked towards the playground, feigning nonchalance. The nurse, noticing, quickly placed herself between him and Luna with a forced smile and a defensive posture. "Can I help you, sir?" she asked, her voice tense. "No, thank you. Just admiring the garden." "Are there children here?" Elias casually pointed at Luna. The nurse hesitated. "Sometimes, grandchildren. And we have a young volunteer." "Volunteer?" Elias repeated, the word sounding like a cruel euphemism. He knew it was Luna. The nurse nodded, her smile still forced. "Yes, very dear." Elias felt the urgency to approach Luna, but the nurse's vigilance was a clear obstacle. He needed a moment alone, a sign. He turned to the nurse, his gaze fixed. "My daughter, Luna, would love a place like this." The mention of the name made the nurse blink, her eyes returning to the girl. Luna, with her back turned, stopped playing, and Elias saw her shoulders shrug slightly, a subtle but unmistakable reaction. He had planted the seed of truth. The nurse, visibly uncomfortable, tried to change the subject. "Would you like some coffee, or perhaps some tea?" Elias smiled, icy, carrying a silent promise. "No, thank you, but I would like to speak with the volunteer for a moment." The nurse turned pale, her mask of cordiality crumbling. "Oh, she's a little shy, and she's busy." Elias realized that the nurse was an integral part of Sophia's scheme. He couldn't confront her directly, as that would put Luna at immediate risk. He needed a plan that would guarantee his daughter's safety. He walked away, returning to Grandma Clara, but his eyes never left Luna, who now seemed more attentive. The truth was there. Anger and iron determination mingled. He would rescue his daughter with the cunning that Sophia had underestimated. He knew the nurse would report everything. He needed to be smarter, more patient. The visit ended with Elias saying goodbye to his mother, a soft kiss on her forehead and a discreet nod to Luna, whom he knew was watching him from the corner of her eye, hidden. He left the nursing home with a heavy heart, but with renewed clarity and an unwavering purpose. Luna was there, and he had confirmation, living proof of Sophia's scheme. He needed irrefutable evidence for justice and, more importantly, a rescue plan that would guarantee Luna's safety. Justice would be served, yes, but the first and only priority now was his daughter's freedom. He left the nursing home with a heavy heart, but with renewed clarity and an unwavering purpose. Luna was there, and he had confirmation, living proof of Sophia's scheme. He needed irrefutable evidence for justice and, more importantly, a rescue plan that would guarantee Luna's safety. Justice would be served, yes, but the first and only priority now was his daughter's freedom. Elias knew he couldn't rush. Sophia was cunning, and any false step could put Luna in danger. He drove home, the familiar route now seeming strange, tainted by the deception that permeated his life. The mansion, once a symbol of his success and happiness, now seemed like a stage of lies. Kiko awaited him on his perch, his bright eyes fixed on Elias. "She's there, Kiko," Elias whispered, his voice laden with deep emotion. "I saw her." The parrot tilted its head, as if it understood the gravity of the situation. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, immense gratitude for that small being who had unraveled the darkness. He needed a meticulous plan. Sophia had control over the nursing home, and the nurse who watched over Luna was a piece in her game. Elias couldn't simply go and take Luna. That could trigger an unpredictable reaction from Sophia, putting Luna at even greater risk. His daughter's safety was paramount. He sat in his armchair, his mind buzzing. He needed concrete evidence, something that couldn't be denied, and he needed legal support. But whom could he turn to? Trust was a luxury he couldn't easily afford now. His first step would be to contact a trusted lawyer, someone discreet and experienced in delicate cases. But not just any lawyer. He needed someone who understood the complexity of the situation, Sophia's influence, and who could act with the utmost caution. He thought of Dr. Almeida, a family lawyer who had helped him with minor issues in the past. Almeida was known for his integrity and discretion. Elias picked up the phone, hesitating. With each call, each step, he felt closer to exposing the truth, but also more vulnerable. The call to Dr. Almeida was brief and enigmatic. Elias requested an urgent meeting without giving details, only mentioning a family matter of extreme delicacy. Almeida, sensing the seriousness in Elias's voice, agreed to see him the following morning in his private office. Elias felt a small relief, but anxiety still consumed him. He needed to document everything, from Luna's note to his observations at the nursing home. Every detail would be crucial. Meanwhile, he needed to maintain the facade of normalcy with Sophia. The idea of sharing the same space with her, knowing of her cruelty, was a torment. But he needed to be strong for Luna. He remembered his daughter's innocence, the smile she had drawn for him, and that gave him the necessary strength to continue. The night was long, punctuated by thoughts and worries. Elias barely slept, the image of Luna on her small mattress in the nursing home haunting his dreams. The next morning, Elias prepared for his meeting with Dr. Almeida. He gathered Luna's drawing and note, carefully storing them. As he left, Kiko watched him. "I'm bringing her home, Kiko," Elias promised, a lump in his throat. The parrot emitted a soft sound, almost an encouragement. Elias felt he wasn't alone in this battle. Upon arriving at Almeida's office, the atmosphere was sober and discreet, which brought him a dose of confidence. Dr. Almeida, a middle-aged man with glasses perched on his nose, greeted him with a firm handshake. "Elias, it's good to see you, though I regret the circumstances," the lawyer said, indicating a chair. Elias sat down, his heart pounding. He took a deep breath, preparing to unravel the web of lies. "Dr. Almeida, what I have to tell you goes beyond my comprehension. It involves my daughter Luna and my wife Sophia." Elias began to narrate the story, from Luna's supposed illness, Kiko's phrases, the silent investigation, to the shocking discovery at the nursing home. With each word, Almeida's expression grew more serious, his eyes fixed on Elias. "Elias, this is extremely serious. We need to act with extreme caution and intelligence. Sophia's influence is a factor to consider. We cannot make a false move." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of the situation, but also the unwavering determination of a father who would do anything for his daughter. "I understand, Dr. Almeida, but I cannot wait. Luna is in danger, even if under my mother's roof. Sophia is unpredictable," the lawyer pondered, his eyes fixed on the drawing of Kiko and Luna. "We need more evidence, Elias. Testimonies, records, and a plan to remove her from there without causing a stir. Luna's safety is the top priority." Elias agreed, the urgency burning in his chest. "What would you suggest as a first step?" Almeida leaned forward, his voice lower. "First, let's consolidate the evidence you already have. The note, the drawing, Kiko's account. Then, we need to thoroughly investigate the nursing home, Sophia's connection to the administration, and the nurse you mentioned. All discreetly, without raising suspicions. I have a team of trusted private investigators who can help us with this." Elias felt a thread of hope, a glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel. Having Almeida by his side, with his experience and resources, was an immense relief. The battle would be arduous, But he was no longer alone. Justice would be slow, but he would pursue it with all his might. And the freedom of Luna, his brave little daughter, would be the greatest and sweetest victory of his life. The urgency of rescuing Luna choked Elias as he left Dr. Almeida's office. The relief of having an ally mingled with anguish for Luna. Discretion was crucial, but his heart cried out for action. At home, the mansion seemed like a stage of lies. Sophia, in the living room, leafed through a magazine, her perfection a cruel contrast. Elias forced a smile. "Hello, dear. It's been a long day." Sophia looked up, a superficial smile. "You look exhausted. Any problems?" Elias noticed the calculating tone. "Nothing that can't be resolved," Elias replied, averting his gaze to Kiko on his perch. The parrot let out a chirp, a silent reminder. He sought refuge in his office, closing the door to Sophia's suffocating presence. Sitting at his desk, Elias picked up Luna's note and drawing. The childlike handwriting and simple strokes were a balm, but also a reminder of Sophia's cruelty. The guilt for his blindness transformed into pure determination. Dr. Almeida had promised a discreet investigation at the nursing home. Elias knew the importance of every detail. The nurse, with her reaction and defensive posture, was a key piece. Almeida's team would act. In the following days, Elias maintained his routine, but every interaction with Sophia was a test. She acted like a devoted wife, but Elias saw the coldness in her eyes. He waited for the right moment for the truth. The wait was agonizing. Hours in the office, pretending to work, his mind on Luna. The image of her alone in the playground haunted him. He needed to act, but Almeida's caution was sensible. A false step would be disastrous. One afternoon, with Sophia absent, Elias decided on a thorough search of her private office. With his heart pounding, he opened a locked drawer. Among old papers, he found a folder with the nursing home's logo. Upon opening it, Elias felt a chill. Records of substantial monthly payments for management consulting and enhanced security services jumped out at him. Attached to a receipt, a photograph, the nurse who watched over Luna, smiling alongside Sophia at a social event. The complicity was undeniable. Elias felt a lump in his throat. Sophia not only controlled the nursing home, she had corrupted it, transforming a place of care into a prison for his daughter. Anger and determination mingled, giving him strength. Anger and determination mingled, giving him strength. Elias closed the folder, his heart pounding in his chest. The image of Sophia, so stunning and cold, merged with the cruelty he had just uncovered. There was no more room for doubt or hesitation. He had the evidence. He picked up the phone and called Dr. Almeida, his voice firm, but laden with an undeniable urgency. "Dr. Almeida, I found more evidence. We need to act now. I have the records and a photo that directly incriminates Sophia with the nursing home and the nurse." The lawyer's response was immediate and resolute. "Excellent, Elias. This is what we needed. My team has already confirmed Luna's presence at the facility under a false name and the nurse's connection to Sophia. Get ready. Tomorrow morning, we will go to the nursing home. Not alone. We will have the authorities and a social worker with us. It will be a discreet but decisive operation. We cannot give Sophia a chance to react." The night was an eternity for Elias. He barely closed his eyes, his mind reliving every detail, every lie, every second of Luna in captivity. Kiko, on his perch, seemed to sense the tension, letting out low chirps and watching Elias with his intelligent eyes. "Tomorrow, Kiko. Tomorrow she comes home," Elias whispered, stroking the parrot's feathers. The next morning, a discreet car awaited Elias. Inside, Dr. Almeida, a social worker with a serious demeanor, and two plainclothes officers awaited him. The plan was simple and direct. They would go to the nursing home under the pretext of a routine visit. but with the intention of rescuing Luna and confronting the nurse and, if possible, Sophia. Upon arriving at Haven of Peace, the atmosphere was the same as always, deceptively tranquil. Elias felt his heart quicken. The receptionist smiled, but Elias's gaze swept the area, searching for the nurse. She was there, at the nursing station, her forced smile crumbling upon seeing Elias accompanied. "Good morning," Elias said, his voice calm, though inside he was a whirlwind. "I've come to visit my mother, Clara Mendez, and I'd also like to speak with the volunteer I mentioned on my last visit." The nurse turned pale, her eyes widening. The volunteer? She's not available right now." It was then that Dr. Almeida intervened, his voice grave and authoritative. "Madam, we have information that a minor is being held here under false pretenses. We are here to ensure her safety." The officers stepped forward, their presences imposing. Panic seized the nurse's face. She tried to retreat, but Elias stopped her, his eyes fixed on hers. "Where is Luna?" he asked, his voice low, but laden with contained fury. At that instant, Sophia emerged from the corridor, her face a mask of surprise and, for a brief instant, fury. "Elias, what's going on here? What is all this commotion?" She tried to approach, but one of the officers intercepted her. "Madam Sophia Mendez, we need to talk. There are serious accusations against you and the administration of this facility," the officer said. Sophia's world seemed to collapse. The mask of perfection cracked, revealing an expression of hatred and despair. "This is absurd. Elias, what have you done? This girl is sick. She needs treatment." "No, Sophia," Elias replied, his voice choked with emotion and the pain of seeing the raw truth. "Luna isn't sick. She's imprisoned. And I know everything. Her note, the records, the photo. Kiko told me the truth." Sophia's eyes fixed on Elias, pure venom. She tried one last card, a desperate cry. "You're crazy. This girl isn't your daughter." But it was too late. At that exact moment, Luna, drawn by the commotion, appeared at the end of the corridor, her eyes large and frightened. She saw Elias, and a small cry of "Daddy!" escaped her lips. Elias ran, kneeling, opening his arms. Luna threw herself into him, hugging him with all her might, tears streaming down her face. The reunion, so long awaited and painful, was the climax of a silent battle. The truth finally had triumphed. Sophia, seeing the scene, felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Her farce was unmasked, and justice finally would reach her. Sophia, seeing the scene, felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. Her farce unmasked, justice finally would reach her. Luna's cry, her run into her father's arms, everything unfolded in a blur for Sophia, now a desolate woman, her beauty crushed by the truth. Officers led her out, her resistance weak and empty protests echoing through the corridors of Haven of Peace. The nurse, pale and trembling, was taken for questioning, her complicity exposed. Elias held Luna, feeling the warmth of her small body, tears wetting his daughter's hair. "My love, my angel," he whispered, his voice choked, his eyes closed in relief and pain. Luna, still sobbing, squeezed him tightly, fearing he might disappear. The social worker approached, offering a tissue and comfort. Dr. Almeida watched, a discreet smile, justice being served. Grandma Clara, who had witnessed the commotion, was brought inside, her eyes welling up upon seeing Luna in Elias's arms. "My little granddaughter!" she exclaimed, extending her trembling hands. Elias approached, Luna nestled in his chest. "Grandma," he said, a lump in his throat. Clara hugged her granddaughter with tenderness, her innocence confirming to Elias that she too had been a victim of Sophia's manipulation, used as a cruel disguise. After the reunion, Luna was examined by a doctor. Despite the emotional trauma, the girl was physically well, though a little malnourished. Elias promised that he would never allow anything like this to happen again. The priority was Luna's recovery, physical and emotional. Back at the mansion, Kiko awaited anxiously. Upon seeing Luna in Elias's arms, the parrot let out a vibrant chirp, a song of victory. "Luna! Luna!" he repeated, flapping his wings. Luna, with a faint smile, extended her small hand to her feathered friend. The reunion with Kiko was a balm for the girl's soul, a reminder that even in darkness, there were those who loved and fought for her. The following days were dedicated to Luna. Elias stepped away from commitments, focusing on his daughter. They spent hours together, reading, drawing, and enjoying each other's presence. The mansion, once cold, now filled with laughter and the light that only a child can bring. Elias felt guilt for not having noticed, for having been deceived, but with each of Luna's smiles, with each hug, he found strength to forgive himself and move forward. Justice took its course. Sophia was formally accused of kidnapping and crimes related to Luna's deprivation of liberty. The evidence was irrefutable. Payment records, the nurse's complicity, Elias's testimony, and of course Luna's note and Kiko's phrases. The media, which once idolized Sophia, now portrayed her as the villain. Elias didn't care about the public repercussions. His only concern was Luna. The rebuilding of life would be a long process, but Elias was determined. The scar of that time would never disappear, but each day, the love and connection between father and daughter strengthened, weaving a brighter and more hopeful future. His gratitude for Kiko was eternal, the parrot who, with its unexpected voice, broke the silence of the lie and saved a life. Elias looked at Luna, who slept peacefully in her room. He had failed, but now he would be the father she deserved. The family, though smaller, was stronger than ever, united by truth and love. The months that followed that tumultuous day at the nursing home brought a new light to Elias's mansion. The family, though smaller, was stronger than ever, united by the truth and the love that blossomed each day. Luna, little by little, blossomed. The scars of captivity would not completely disappear, but her father's unconditional love and the constant presence of Grandma Clara and Kiko were powerful balms for her wounded soul. She still had moments of melancholy when her eyes would get lost in some distant point, but Elias was always there, ready for a hug, a story, or a game. Elias had transformed his life. The tech magnate, once consumed by meetings and business, now dedicated most of his time to Luna. He took her to the park, read to her before bed, and taught her to draw with vibrant colors, encouraging every stroke of her imagination. The guilt that had tormented him for so long began to diminish, replaced by a deep gratitude and the joy of seeing his daughter recover the childhood that had been stolen from her. He had learned that true wealth was not in his fortune, but in the precious moments shared with his daughter. Kiko the parrot was now a silent celebrity in the house. Luna adored him, and Kiko reciprocated with joyful chirps and the affectionate repetition of her name. He was the guardian of truth, the unexpected link that had unraveled the web of lies. Elias often watched him, marveling at the intelligence and crucial role of that small being. Kiko not only revealed the truth, but also became a symbol of hope and vigilance, a constant reminder that truth, however hidden, always finds a way to light. Grandma Clara, with her wisdom and tenderness, was a pillar of support. She spent afternoons with Luna, teaching her old songs and telling stories that made the girl laugh. Her presence was a comfort, a link to the innocence and goodness that Sophia had tried to destroy. Elias saw in his mother the strength and resilience he himself needed to guide Luna through the healing process. The girl, in turn, absorbed every lesson, every affection, filling the voids left by the time of darkness with the light of affection. Luna's emotional scars were healing, although the memory of that dark period still visited her in occasional dreams. But now she had a network of love and support that helped her dispel any shadow, transforming fear into strength. Elias, attentive to every sign, was always ready to calm her, to reaffirm his love, and to remind her of her inner strength. He encouraged her to express her feelings through drawings and games, ensuring that she knew her voice was important and that she would never be alone again, a commitment he took seriously. The mansion, once a symbol of its apparent perfection and Sophia's farce, had transformed into a true home, a sanctuary of love and honesty. The walls that once harbored secrets now echoed with life, hope, and the joy of a family reunited. Elias had learned that true wealth was not in material possessions, but in human connection, in the purity of a child's smile and in the unconditional loyalty of a feathered friend. Justice for Sophia had been a necessary and painful chapter, but Elias's true victory was seeing Luna flourish. Free and happy, a living testament that love always finds a way. They knew that life would continue to present challenges, but now they were certain that they could face them together, with the strength that their unity provided. The family, though forged in adversity, was unbreakable, a beacon of hope. Elias, Luna, Grandma Clara and Kiko were a living testament to the power of love, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unexpected ability of a small parrot to change the course of a life. The silence of the lie had been broken, and in its place, a symphony of hope and a promising future blossomed, where each day was a new opportunity to celebrate the life and love that united them forever.